Hey folks, I just want to make sure y'all know what I mean when I say hole notes for this particular activity. Here's some examples. I've changed some of the numbers up, you can see. But what do hole notes look like? What would it look like if I had a drawing and I was going to annotate this whole note, like as a whole annotation? And so here's an example. Let's say I've got this kind of hole right here. And one of the first things you look for is really just the diameter of the hole the majority of the way through. So that's the diameters between here and here. And the way these are all set up, that's notated at the bottom here. That distance between the two walls of the hole is, in this case, 0.325 inches. So the hole note for this guy would start off with the diameter of the hole way through, or most of the way through it. Diameter symbol. The ones in the examples, I think they leave off the 0 at the front. They just do 0.325. All right, that's the diameter. The next thing you need is the depth of the hole, and this is the majority of the distance down. And in that case, that's from top to, well, bottom-ish. Notice it doesn't measure down where the tip goes here. It's just from the top down to the bottom of this diameter right there. So that distance, that's listed up here at the very top. How deep does it go? It goes 2.75 inches. So my depth symbol, 2.75. Every hole is going to start like that. Every single one of these guys are going to say, okay, what's the distance across for the majority of the distance? Oh, there it is down there. What's the diameter for the majority of this? Oh, it's this guy right here. And then the next thing you're going to put down is the depth, the majority depth, the main depth, top to bottom. Every single one starts out with those two pieces. So, hey, let's start out with all of them. Let's not. Let's finish this one first. I'll finish them off and then 1, 2, 3. This guy is not just a simple hole. This one has a special feature. I draw all over my hand. This one has this shape at the top where it's got a countersink. This guy's a countersink. I don't know where the etymology comes from, but sometimes when people talk about it, they're like, oh, it's like if I had a hole like in the sand that went down, you might have some sand falling off either side, rolling into the hole, and it would have this sort of shape to it, sort of like a conical cutout at the top of it, where it's got this angle. So some people think of it like that. I could look it up and figure that out. That would have been easy to do. I can go back and do that later and maybe make a note on this video. But this is a countersink. The symbol for countersink actually matches the shape of that feature at the top. You're going to want that wide V shape. So first row of all these guys has the diameter for the majority of the hole and the depth for the majority of the hole. This one has a special feature, so we're going to note that it is a countersink with that symbol. All right, this guy has a countersink. The countersink has a diameter at the very top. It's the widest spot up there. So that's 0.625. You're going to use the diameter symbol, 0.625. All right. The other feature of a countersink is the angle inside here. And that guy's, I think, 82 in all the examples that I've got. I don't know if it's ever anything different. I mean, it depends probably on the way that the hole is made and the hardware that's going into it. But the angle, we're going to put an X, and we're going to write 82 degrees. That's it. If I have a countersink, I need to tell you the diameter at the top of it and the angle at the center of that countersink. We never need this information down here because that's kind of a standard. It's also part of how it's drilled. And like if I were putting a bolt or something into here, I wouldn't need to know this part of it anyways, this depth down here, because that's just a feature of how you drill the holes. You've got to have a drill bit with a point on it, basically. Otherwise it won't bite into the wood or the metal, whatever material you're using. All right. This example here, you start off the same way. You're going to have the diameter the majority of the way down, which in this case is 1/4 inch. You're going to have the majority depth of it from here to here, that's 3.5. Depth symbol, 3.5. I'm going to put 0.50 so I'm consistent with units, the sig figs. I'm not picking at sig figs right now because I'm not entirely sure if there's a standard, like if I should make everything 2 sig figs. I should probably put a 0.0 here to make this 3, this is 3, they're all 3 up here. This is 3 sig figs. You know, I don't know what the standard is. I don't know if it's always go to the hundredths place or what. It depends probably on the industry and the tolerances necessary. So this guy here, 1/4 inch across, and it's 3.5 inches down. 1/4 inch is the diameter, 3.5, that's the depth. No special feature at the top. We're good. We're going to keep going. This guy was a simple hole. He doesn't have the second feature at all. All right, this last one. All right, we're starting the same way. The diameter most of the way down here, that's a 1/2 inch. The depth, oh, this one's special because my depth is not a number. My depth says all. That means this hole has to go all the way through the material. And it doesn't say how long the material, how wide is the material, how thick is that material. It doesn't say any of that information. So what you're going to put is just the word through, spelled badly, all caps, THRU. Through. I've seen people notate it with like the depth symbol and the word all. I've seen people do the depth symbol and then through, lowercase. Just put through. You don't need the depth symbol in this standard we're using. All right. This guy has a special feature at the top. This guy's not simple. There's this extra stuff going on over here. And it's got right angles on the sides of it, which means that it's a counterbore. You can see the shape of it there. It's like an upside down staple or the top of a field goal. It's a counterbore. So how do we notate this special feature? Well, first we got to make the symbol. That means counterbore. That'll tell whoever's looking at that that's a counterbore. And the counterbore, we're going to have 2 pieces of information. We're going to start with the diameter. And that's this top diameter across the widest part of a counterbore. And that is a 1.25 inch counterbore, 1.25. Now up here with the countersink, you had this degree thing at the middle, but they need to know how far down this goes. What's the depth here of this particular feature? So this is another location you'd see a depth. And specifically it's just the depth of this part of it. And the depth of that part, it goes down 0.25 inches, 1/4 inch, 0.25. So there are the hole notes. If this was the information I was given, these would be my answers for part A, part B, part C. And that was what I was getting to, I was hoping y'all would turn in, this guy right here. The interesting thing, oh, I didn't open this beforehand. Maybe I should open it and change over to it. Bear with me a second as I go to sign in here. And I can open up my second screen view. All right. All right, let me move my mic and slide it over, and then I can look over here. And what I'm going to do is turn on the second screen. Nope, turn on the third screen. There we go. Oh, look, it's really large for some reason. Why? Yeah, bear with me. I did not set this part up beforehand because I didn't think of it. But some people had questions about the how to put the holes in Onshape as well. So let's do this real quick here. All right. The ones that I have, let me grab. Can I move this one to the front real quick? Why won't you let me move it to the front? Order, move to top. There we go. If I make this a little bit smaller, oops, I made the wrong thing small. Gosh darn it, this is a disaster. Sorry guys. And disaster is a strong word. It's just annoying. Oh, come on. That's not what I wanted. This guy here. Thank you. Okay. And you know what? I can just move this one over here so we can see those three numbers. Cool. All right. Or three sets of numbers. So let's see. My holes, the largest diameters that I see are, let's see, 1.25 inches. So yeah, let's make sure that whatever I have is at least 2 inches wide. And I'm gonna make this like 4 inches long. Put a couple holes on the top of it, make it at least like 4 inches deep, because that's 3.5. So that'll be good. I'm gonna make just a block. And to make a block, I'm just gonna sketch a rectangle over here on the front plane. Gonna go ahead and hit N on the keyboard so I can see it better. And I'm gonna uncheck the rectangle tool real quick. Let's take this by the corner and latch it down to there. And use the dimensioning tool, either by pressing D or clicking on dimension up here. And I'm gonna make this about 4 inches wide, 4 inches high. And I'm gonna tell it like, no, I'm gonna tell it to make, let's see, from here to this center point, centered will be 2 inches over. That way I fully constrain the sketch. It is stuck there, won't go anywhere. I'm gonna make it at least 2 inches wide, so let's extrude it by 2 inches. Doesn't matter what direction I extrude it, just so long as I'm making a new part. And there's my new part. Cool. To make a hole, you're gonna need some sketch points. So I'm gonna make a sketch on the top of it so I can drill holes down into it. And I'm gonna put these little dots. I'm gonna line one up the center line. Let's line one up here, here. I can put some constraints in, like I can make these all horizontal to each other. And I can give them some dimension. I can say, look, this to here. Let's do 1 inch between them. And 1 inch to the edge. And now I have 3 dots kind of centered here. So the hole tool, if you're looking for the hole tool, once you're not in a sketch anymore, it should be one of your 3D options up here. The ones we've used before, extruding, revolving. Here's some other cool stuff. There is the hole tool. When you open that up, it gives you a menu. You can pick what kind of hole it is. And that'll determine what options you have down below. My first one was a countersink. You can say, okay, is it blind or through? If it said go all the way through, go pick through, and that'll take away this depth option at the bottom here. So you don't have to tell it a depth anymore, it just goes through. But blind works for right now because the countersink I've got here is it's not blind, it goes to 2.75 inches. So if you look at the symbols, guys, this right here, this one right here, this first option, if I mouse over it says diameter, it's a diameter, and specifically it's the diameter of the walls of the hole as it goes down all the way. So that's the diameter here that goes down all the way. That's the smaller of your diameters. Okay? In this case, that was 0.325 inches. 0.325, enter. There we go. My diameter, this guy here, countersink diameter. If you leave your mouse over it, it'll tell you what it's looking for. Countersink diameter. You can look at the image as well, and that's got an arrow across like the top, like this little arrow here. And so a countersink diameter, that's the wider of the two diameters, is 0.625. Let's change that. This here, countersink angle, 82 degrees. I'm not going to change that. That's what we've been using. I think when you first do this for the very first time, it might tell you 90 degrees. You may have to change that, but you know, it's 82. And this, if I mouse over it, this is telling you the depth. What's the depth of this thing? That's the main depth. That's the 2.75 inches. All right. It says start from sketch plane. That means, yes, I want it to start on the sketch plane. And the sketch points that I'm going to put that in, I'm just going to do one of them. I'm going to put it in this first one. And there it is. From above, it kind of looks like you got some conical shapes going on, and that's true because you not only have this cone up here, but you're going to have that cone at the tip. And it's at this sketch point. If you wanted to, like let's say you were actually making an object that needed this kind of hole many times, you just go click more sketch points and put down more of them. But let's not worry about that. Let's not do that. That is my first hole on that list. And you can't see it. It's blind. You can't see the end of it from the sides. That's that. Let's hit check mark. Be done with that hole. Cool. Now notice the two other points I'd put down originally, they've disappeared. We can always unhide that sketch and that'll show us those points again. So I can make a new hole at that middle hole. And let's use information about this simple hole right here. I've only got 2 pieces of information because I don't have an extra feature. That's cool. Let's do a simple hole. And it's not all the way through, so let's leave that as blind. My diameter of this hole, is 1/4 inch, 0.25. And the depth of this hole is 3.5 inches. And I've already clicked on that dot, that's why I've already got a vertex selected. It's right there. That should have cut down in there, yep. Just like that. My sketch is still there. I can still see my third spot. I'm going to put this third hole. It's going to be the counter bore now. And the counter bore, that one goes all the way through. So I'm going to go change where it says blind. I'm going to change that to all the way through. Because, I mean, I could put 4 inches, but why not just put through? It's easier. Okay, diameter. Diameter is 1/2 inch. And then it wants the counter bore diameter right here. So that's the wider diameter, that's 1.25 inches. And it wants the counter bore depth. You can sort of see it only goes from, it goes down to this wider spot right here, and that's all that depth is asking for. And the counter bore depth is 1/4 inch. And I'm going to stick this on the hole that I haven't done anything with yet. There it is. And that's what they'll look like. The only one that went all the way through is that counter bore. If you want to see what that might look like if you do a section view, there's actually a couple things that you can do. I've seen people do this. What they'll do is they'll make a sketch like, here we go, no. They'll make a sketch like on this face here where it is a rectangle the same size, and they'll say, okay, I'm gonna move that in, I'm gonna do an extrude, and instead of adding material, I'm gonna remove material about 1 inch in. If this was 2 inches wide, then 1 inch is halfway through. And they said, okay, now I can see it like just by looking at it. It's right there. You can see them. They've all gone different depths like that. You can see the different dimensions. And then later they can say, okay, can I suppress this? And it's like it's undone that completely, and you can't see it when you look at your part. But if you needed to, you could unsuppress it and show it again that you've taken that part off. If you don't want to do that, which you don't have to, let's get rid of that extrude and that sketch. There we go. What you could do is you could make a drawing. I'm going to use this first template that showed up, and it's going to be a drawing of this feature. We're going to make a side drawing or two. My part here. The automatic thing it does is put down a front drawing, and then it lets you decide, am I going to do a projected drawing? So I'm going to project a right drawing, a right side view of that. You can't see a thing. You can't even see the holes. Let me unclick that. Let's do a section view. If I click on this guy and I move around here, like it's snapping to some features. It snapped to the center here, let's put this over here and see what it looks like. And there's a view of the 3 holes. And you can see in this view that that it's got the diagonal lines over here. And that's telling you that, hey, there's more to it. There's more material than just this. Like it's down through the center of something, or through the middle somewhere. Not necessarily the very exact center, but it's. I've done a cutaway so you can see, but the piece itself does not have holes like on the side of it, on the edge like that. It's got more material covering them up. Okay. So yeah, you've got these guys here to fill in by hand, and then share me, if you haven't already, your on shape part. Okay? That is the holes assignment, both parts of it. And yeah, that is all for now. Y'all have a wonderful afternoon. I'm going to see if there's been any requests so far about, special requests about any of this stuff that y'all are interested in. And then I might record a couple more. Alrighty, y'all take care.